Happy Friday, Dolphins fans. And as Friday's here and Memorial Day weekend is upon us, it's time to look back at the first week of Miami Dolphins OTAs and who won and who lost. They had 3 practices earlier on the week, off Wednesday and then on Thursday, and then they'll have a little bit of a break before week 2 of OTAs begin with the 28th and 29th on Tuesday and Wednesday, off Thursday, and then back again to round out the month of May on the 31st, a week from today. But before we jump into the winners and losers, make sure you are following me over on Twitter. The handle is at Nic_Rohloff. I post daily Dolphins coverage, including Miami Dolphins highlights from OTAs. We'll have another week of OTAs covered on my Twitter. Mandatory minicamp coming up in a couple weeks as well. And then during the season, we'll have everything you need over on my Twitter in between Dolphins Today videos. So go give me a follow. And if we get 22 on today's video, that gets us over 1,000. And I will do a shot the next show we do next week. All right, let's jump into the winners and losers. And we'll start with the winner, David Long Jr., the linebacker that made his Dolphins debut a season ago and is looking for a strong year in season number 2 with Miami. And to me, if you get an orange jersey at OTAs, that automatically makes you a winner. David Long Jr. repped the first Dolphins orange jersey, which if you don't know what that means, we talked about it earlier on in the week, but an orange jersey means you are, I guess, given a standout award, and if you're wearing the Dolphins orange jersey, you had the best practice, but the first practice was Tuesday, so they just gave it to him because of his leadership abilities. And head coach Mike McDaniel really went in depth on his leadership. That's what he talked about a lot at his opening press conference on Tuesdays during OTA about how he's looking to make another step in year 2 with Miami. And year 1 was a good one for David Long Jr. If you're asking me, like, his numbers were solid, man. Totaled on over 113 tackles, 9 TFLs, a sack, forced fumble. One thing that I would like to see David Long Jr. improve on from year 1 to year 2 is his pass coverage, but I believe that is one of the strongest points in his game. He is as athletic as a linebacker as you'll find in the NFL, moving laterally, getting downhill. So I do expect a big season for David Long Jr. in year 2 with Anthony Weaver because you add in more coverage, success, I should say, mixed in with his ability to read the run gaps, run the schemes, fill those holes, and make tackles at the line of scrimmage. Pairing him up with Jordan Brooks and having Anthony Walker Jr. as that third linebacker makes him only elevate his game, but has this Dolphins linebacker group as amongst the top in the NFL. All right, our first loser of the week is Liam Eichenberg, the offensive lineman from Miami. Unfortunate because Liam Eichenberg's reasoning for being a loser is really none of his own, but this is why he's a loser. At least in the Tuesday open media practice, there was a lot of observations made that Aaron Brewer, the starting center for Miami, or at least is slated to be that because he signed a 3-year deal with the Dolphins in free agency after coming over from the Tennessee Titans, he sat out Tuesday and looked to be nursing an injury on the side, which means Liam Eichenberg had to take the large portion of the snaps at center. And if Eichenberg is taking snaps at center, being that backup guy / starting center during the summer and OTAs, well, that means he can't compete for the right guard spot because the Dolphins' right guard position is the biggest hole on the entire roster. You go through all 22 starting spots for the Dolphins, right guard is its weakest link. And Eichenberg, who has been the backup center, but also gotten some PT at guard as well, was probably going to hope to compete for that starting position after Robert Hunt left in free agency. And when you look at where things stand now, it really feels like Robert Jones is going to be slated to start. Maybe Jack Driscoll coming over from the Philadelphia Eagles is going to give it a run. But the 3 players that I expected to compete for that starting right guard spot the most was Jones, Driscoll, Eichenberg. Maybe Cotton was going to be thrown in there as a 4th guy. But if Eichenberg is working mostly at center because Aaron Brewer is out of the lineup and they need to put in a center to run through drills, well, that really does hurt Liam Eichenberg, which is why I made him a loser. But let me ask you this question because it is one of the biggest questions surrounding this Dolphins roster. Who will start at right guard in week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars? Will it be Robert Jones, type RJ? Will it be Eichenberg, type LE? Will it be Jack Driscoll, type JD? But you could also type O for other, whether it be someone else on this roster or a free agent that Miami goes out and signs. Back to the winners, and we'll go on the offensive line once again. Austin Jackson, the former first-round pick in 2020 out of USC, has just been phenomenal, and he's been looking like he's been in great shape physically for Miami in the first week of OTAs. And like I said with David Long Jr., you get an orange jersey, you are a winner. And there is no way I cannot say you aren't a winner. Austin Jackson was repping an orange jersey on the final day of Dolphins OTAs on Thursday, which means he was awarded for a standout practice on Wednesday. And another reason why I think he's a winner is they showcased a video of Austin Jackson walking around in the orange jersey. The dude looks absolutely jacked. This was already a big guy, but I would be willing to say, and I know this gets thrown out there a lot, he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but he looks really in shape, fit, strong, big muscles, and that's big because getting him in shape, and he's looking like a defensive lineman out there. That's how athletic and in shape he looks. And this is a big year for Austin Jackson. Obviously signed that 3-year, $33 million extension last December, but he kind of got off to a rocky start in his career, right? Coming out of USC, started at left tackle, really struggled. Then they moved him to left guard after Teron Armstead came over. He kind of struggled there as well. Then missed basically all of 2022, but bounced back in 2023 with a very good year at right tackle, posting up career highs in almost every category according to PFF in terms of their grading system. And as Tua Tagovailoa's blindside protector, because that's more important for a lefty quarterback at right tackle, he is going to only have to increase his play to make sure Tua can stand upright and find those wide receivers that are oh so dangerous. So let's hope Austin Jackson is continuing to improve and is in for another career year. All right, loser, Jaelan Phillips, the edge who is coming off that torn Achilles injury that he suffered against the New York Jets on Black Friday. He's hoping to be back for Week 1 against the Jaguars, but there are some skepticism out there, and it comes from Omar Kelly, who is a beat reporter for the Miami Herald, and I know a lot of people like to make fun of Omar Kelly at times, but listen, he's there, boots on the ground, and I am going to trust what he saw. He said that Phillips had a noticeable limp. This is exactly what he wrote up in an article. He said the limp in Miami's fourth-year pass rusher unintentionally showcased forces everyone who saw it to calm down on the talk that Phillips might be healthy for the start of the regular season. The Dolphins need to think long-term with Phillips, which is why I suspect he might begin training camp on the PUP list. So it's tough to see that Jaelan Phillips is working with a noticeable limp, and if that is actually the case, like, he's obviously still got a long way to go in his road to recovery, but there's also a long way to go until September, right? We still got June, July, August. Those are 3 months. Those are over 90 days until the first week gets here, so there's a lot of room for him to recover. But in my opinion, this is why you drafted Chop Robinson 21st overall out of Penn State. This is why you also double-dipped with Mo Kamara out of Colorado State in the 5th round. There is no need to rush Jaelan Phillips back from injury. You have the two rookies who I think are going to be able to contribute right away. You have Shaq Barrett, who you signed in free agency. Hopefully Bradley Chubb is going to be ready to go for Week 1 as well, but we'll have to keep our eye on that throughout the summer. If Phillips is not 100% for Week 1, it is fine. Hold him out. You need to think long-term so he can recover from that Achilles injury, because that type of injury, that's no joke. All right, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we're putting out daily Dolphins content surrounding the Fins. We're on the road to 57K, so let's get there ASAP. And if you want more updates on Jaelan Phillips, on this Dolphins team throughout OTAs, mandatory minicamp, and then training camp getting started up in July, this is the channel for you. All right, 4 more players to talk about here. Back to the winner group of Kader Kohou, the nickel corner for the Miami Dolphins, and he's going to have to play a pivotal role for Miami this year, and, well, guess what? You get an orange jersey, you are a winner. 3 practices, 3 orange jerseys, and we're talking winners as all of them. Kader Kohou got the orange jersey on Tuesday's practice, which means he was a standout on Mondays, just if you didn't catch what the theme is here. But he's going to have to play good, and he's going to have to stay healthy, because when you think about this cornerback room for Miami, you have the big 2 of Jalen Ramsey and Kendall Fuller, one of the best cornerback duos in the entire NFL. You have Nick Needham and Cam Smith as their backups. But there's not a really strong backup, in my opinion, for Kader Kohou in that nickel slot. So if he struggles or is hurt, well, the Dolphins are going to have one of the worst nickel corners in the entire NFL because they have Siran Neal coming from Buffalo, but I don't really believe him to be that much of an impactful player. So unless a UDFA comes out of nowhere or you feel comfortable playing Cam Smith in the slot after basically not playing at all last season under Vic Fangio, Kader Kohou's going to have to be on the field a lot in nickel packages. He's going to have to be playing well, and he's going to have to stay healthy if Miami doesn't want to have a massive disadvantage in that slot corner position. Loser Julian Hill, the tight end for the Dolphins. And, well, unfortunate for him, but the Dolphins have Jonnu Smith coming over in free agency, Durham Smythe returning, and then they signed Jody Fortson this offseason, who has performed quite well in the first week of OTAs, which put Julian Hill's roster position in much question. Like, I don't think the Dolphins would keep more than 3 tight ends, especially because the Dolphins have a fullback. The Dolphins are a very unique team, right? They have Alec Ingold, one of the best, if not, well, it's not the best. I was going to say if not the best, but Kyle Juszczyk's out there. Alec Ingold is probably top 3 fullback, though. But that's a roster spot that many other teams don't keep, right? So that might limit the ability to keep a 4th tight end if that was something Mike McDaniel wanted to do. And with Durham Smythe and Jonnu Smith, who I think are pretty solid stuck there at tight end 1 and 2, it's the battle for the tight end 3. And bringing over Jody Fortson from the Kansas City Chiefs is going to be very intriguing to me because he was effective for Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes in the red zone in his career there. He missed all of 2023 due to a shoulder injury, but in 21-22, through 19 games, he put up some solid numbers. And obviously they have Travis Kelce, so it's not like Jody Fortson's going to get a lot of PT in between the 20s, but when they went to 2 tight end sets in the red zone, Fortson was actually very dynamic. 18 targets, 14 catches. That's a pretty good ratio right there. With 4 touchdowns, the numbers for Jody Fortson were fantastic over his 2 years in a limited role under Andy Reid in Kansas City. So if he's able to capture that and play well for Miami and OTAs in the summer, I think he could be that tight end 3, maybe even a tight end 2, and pass Durham Smythe on the depth chart for the Dolphins. He also had a really strong practice on Tuesday. I'm excited to see what Fortson can do the rest of the summer. 2 more winners and losers to get to, but first, make sure you're hooked up with this Dolphins t-shirt combo. The link is chatsports.com/Dolphins combo. Orange aqua shirt. Mine literally came in the mail on Wednesday night with my other quarter zip that I got. I'm only showing you items that I also got because they're on sale. I took advantage. You do as well. So get this Dolphins t-shirt combo, $15 off at chatsports.com/Dolphins combo. Winner, Erik Ezukanma, the wide receiver here. And a lot of the wide receivers had an opportunity to step up this week because Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Odell Beckham Jr. all sat out on Tuesday's practice, which was open to the media. So that gave other wide receivers a chance to really showcase why they should be on this team. Now, Tua wasn't there either because of the charity golf event that he was participating in. So it was Skylar Thompson, Gavin Hardison, and Mike White throwing them the football. So it's tough to really gauge on how they could work with Tua. But this is a crowded room, man. Like, obviously, as I mentioned, the big 3 of Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Odell Beckham Jr. Best wide receiver trio in the NFL, if you're asking me. And when you draft Malik Washington in the 6th round out of Virginia, who just is really, really talented in my book. Braxton Berrios is there as a special teams guy who can return punts, return kicks, but also give you some work in the slot. There's only 2 spots up for grabs, like the 5th wide receiver spot and the 6th guy. River Craycraft, Erik Ezukanma, Taj Washington, Schwartz, Braylon Sanders. Those guys are all fighting for that spot, and it's a crowded room, man. And like, if he's coming off injury, so Eazy-E needed to get off to a hot start, and he did exactly that with a strong Tuesday practice in front of the media. Yes, no Tua threw him the football, but he was able to make a handful of catches. I believe the exact number was 3, including a couple big ones over the middle of the field, working with Gavin Hardison, Skylar Thompson, and Mike White. So if he's able to continue this strong play in the second week of OTAs into mandatory minicamp and training camp, maybe Eazy-E can grab that 5th or 6th wide receiver spot. And that's the question, right? it's prediction time. Will Easy-E make the 53-man roster for Miami? If you believe he is on that final roster heading into week 1 in late August, type Y for yes. If you think he misses the squad, type N for no. All right, the final loser, I guess. There's two here. Jaylen Wright and Teair Tart. And they're both kind of losers for the same reason, as maybe they just are not ready for the Florida sun. And that's kind of the issue here. They both struggle. And it is different. Like, it is something you have to come accustomed to at least a little bit, because the sun peaking out with the already hot temperatures of 85, 90 plus, the humidity, it is no joke down there, and both of them struggled with it on Tuesday. Jaylen Wright, he threw up. The rookie from Tennessee, he's going to have to get in better, I wouldn't say better shape, because he's obviously in good shape, but throwing up either means you're not hydrated enough, or you're getting, I don't know what the issue is. But either way, he's got to figure it out, because as a fourth-round rookie, as much as I'm high on the kid, you are still behind Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert on the depth chart. So you need to be on the field soaking it up and learning the playbook as much as possible, not on the sideline throwing up. So Jaylen Wright hopefully will bounce back with a better week 2. And then Teair Tart struggled with conditioning as well. At the end of practice, the defensive linemen were running sprints, and it was reported that Teair Tart was just consistently 20 yards behind the other defensive tackles. That can't happen, man. And this defensive line group is already struggling. You got Zach Sealer, but then Teair Tart's that second guy alongside Neville Gallimore. Like, without Sealer, if he were to go down with injury, the Dolphins would have maybe the worst interior defensive line in all of football. Tart, who I have a little bit of high hopes for, will need to prove in week 2 and throughout the rest of the summer he will be in better shape. So when he comes in rotation with Sealer, he could be a difference maker. That's going to do it for today's video. Like I said off the top, make sure you do follow me on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. If we get to 1,000, I'll take a shot of tequila. Probably on Tuesday, because we have videos lined up for the next 3 days since we're off for Memorial Day weekend. But we're still going to have you covered on my Twitter and on the channel. So subscribe and follow me at Nic_Rohloff.